The other difficulties in attaining specificity in a side swipe or being hit by a quarter panel as opposed to a fender?
So for a pedestrian, correct?
Yes.
So pedestrian impacts and how you move post-impact are very sensitive to your exact body position. For example, whether your right foot is on the ground or off the ground, whether your left foot is on the ground, off the ground, whether you jump up in response to the crash. Simply raising and lowering your arm changes the amount of rotation that's going to happen. Post-impact motion of the person. So cadavers, crash dummies don't have any muscle reaction. So the motion of a crash dummy is just going to be like you're hitting a dead body, to where people will step, try and regain their balance if possible, will do additional activities that alters where they come to rest.
In your studies of direct pedestrian collisions by front or back bumper as opposed to side swipe or clipping somebody, is there a similarity or difference in type of injuries that you see?
Yes.
And what is the difference?
So in direct centralized impacts, you tend to get much more severe injuries. Really what's occurring is you're getting that momentum transfer. So it's more, you're accelerating the person up to the vehicle, they can wrap onto the side in front of the vehicle at higher severities. Their head will hit the hood, their head will hit the rear of the vehicle. So when you have that direct contact, there's actually more momentum transferred to the actual occupant. There's more applied force to the occupant as well.
When you see direct impacts, is there ever the existence of lower body extremity injuries, broken bones in the legs?
So there can be both, depending, and again, it's very sensitive to where the foot is on the ground, whether the foot's on the ground, as well as the severity of the crash. In the presentation that I gave at the actual Reconstruction Collision Safety Institute on pedestrian injuries, I went through all the literature on lower extremity injuries and looked at what parameters affected that. And so depending on how it was loaded, some at 15 miles an hour had no injuries. Some at 15 miles an hour had some fractures. It depended on how exactly the foot was loaded.
Is it uncommon in sideswipe pedestrian accidents to see no lower body broken bone?
No, it is not uncommon.
Have you had cases that you've studied or been involved with where you've studied the effect of a sideswipe or a clipping impact where there's an absence of broken bones in the lower body extremities?
Yes.
I'd ask you to turn to slide 139, please.
Oh, sorry. I fixed those other two slides.
Okay. Could you share with the jury what this represents?
Sure. So this was a trial that I was involved with in downtown Los Angeles. I've redacted the name at the top, but this was an instance where we had, this is an image from the police report. Oh, let me see if I can. So AOI in this diagram stands for area of impact. That's where the pedestrian was when they got hit. AOR is area of rest. And you can see we have information on exactly how far the pedestrian was thrown. Then on the right-hand side, we have photographs showing the impact to the pedestrian. This was determined by experts on both sides of this case to be between a 25 to 35 mile an hour impact. And then what you see is a close-up on the bottom slide of where there was DNA transfers, hair and tissue samples on the vehicle from the individual that was hit by the vehicle.
Next slide, please. And what does this represent?
So this is the decedent in the case, the person that was hit. He was killed at the scene. What you see on the left-hand image, oops. On the left-hand image is he had a massive laceration to his right forearm, but it didn't break his arm. There was no broken bones in his arm. On the right-hand side of this image, you see the autopsy report. What you'll notice is he had red marks on his leg, left buttocks, but he had no leg fractures. And again, this individual was hit at between 25 to 35 miles an hour.
Can you expand that? I'm sorry.
Yes, yes, sure.
Do you want that expanded like other times?
There you go.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, John. Thank you. So at the top, he had a severe brain injury, which again is the most common injury in pedestrian crashes. He did have fractures of the right 11th and 12th rib and a liver laceration. If you look at the extremities, it says right upper extremity. Again, that's from the shoulder to the end of the hand. Extremity wound with vascular injury, so no fractures. If you look where I was talking about the multiple abrasions, so when they're looking at the lower extremities, they're noting a number of red marks, but there was notably no fractures to the lower extremities.
Thank you. You can take that down, please.
Okay.
Dr. Welcher, regarding your analysis of the data and the evidence in this case, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether the absence of lower body brakes to Mr. O'Keefe is consistent with the defendant's Lexus impacting in a side swipe or a clipping Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes, you could definitely have this type of impact and not have anything beyond, say, red marks to the lower extremity.
Thank you, Dr. Welcher.
My pleasure.
Honor, I would move into evidence subject to redactions Dr. Welcher's PowerPoint presentation.
That's by agreement, Mr. Wilson.
Okay, so we're going to bring in Sonny Slaughter to discuss. Sonny, I do have a lot of questions for you, but first, I wanted to see if you caught some of the animation from the defense counsel table. You saw Karen Read leaning over, discussing back and forth with both counsels, and people really watching what was up there on the screen and analyzing it, pointing it out. What's your takeaway from that?
I'm sorry, I was muted. I have been watching how she interacts and how animated she can be. And as a jury consultant, I would ask her not to do that because it's so telling. She is the person that's on trial. Let the lawyers do all of that. And it seems like they're seeing stuff, but she is just far too animated for me. I think as a jury consultant, I would tell her, try not to be so animated. You're the person on trial. She acts like she's one of the attorneys. And I don't know if the jury finds that as a good look for her or for any defendant.
Good point, Sonny. So one of the things that Welcher said, he was asked about, so is the damage to defendant's Lexus consistent with the collision with John O'Keefe? And he was saying that in taking a look at everything he looked at, which was a lot, his response to that was yes, with that caveat of if it was at more than 8 miles per hour. How damaging is that kind of testimony to the defense, if at all?
I think it's very damaging because she admitted to doing the 3-point turn, and she was probably angry because she said that it had a fight. So it was absolutely more than 8 miles. But now we have to see what they come across with on the cross. But I think it was damaging. I think this testimony is important, and I think the jury is paying attention.
Yeah, especially at the end when he was summing it all up and really providing succinct answers. That was definitely easy to understand compared to what he was doing in the beginning when he was going through that extensive PowerPoint presentation.